Hello, welcome back. You're here for Career Accelerator Hacks Live. It is the 7th of December. I'm so excited. I can't believe it's nearly Christmas and I've been putting it off this year, but I've finally stepped in. As you can see, I'm not on my own. I'm joined by the incredible Anouska. I was going to say it again. We've just been talking about sorry, Nush. Anouska Carling, who is joining us from STEM Returners. And sorry, we are joking because I've just been saying I'm not going to be able to get her name right because I still call her by her maiden name after all these years. And it's because we've known each other for too long.
It is. The names are established. It's almost a brand. I should never have gotten rid of it.
Yeah.
I just kind of went with tradition. I prefer what you did, Sally. Definitely.
Oh, brilliant. And also, I never actually call you by your full name. So I'm just going to go straight in with Anush. I think that's genuinely how everyone knows you anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I respond to most things.
But thank you so much for joining us. As always, please do ask us questions. We're here to unpack quite a lot of stuff today. I know that a lot of you also kind of catch up and don't watch live, but kind of catch up afterwards. So we'll put some links in of how you can get in touch with Nush and the amazing work that they do at STEM Returners. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about quite a lot of things. We're going to be talking about your career history, the career pivot, really tapping into your passion and then being able to find a role and really embody that. So I think it's hopefully going to be a really inspirational story for a lot of people to listen to, and some inspiration that if people are unhappy in what they're doing or don't really feel aligned to what they're doing, there's some hope that you can absolutely pivot and find something you do want to do. So thank you so much for joining us.
I'm looking forward to it.
Where should we start? Should we start from the beginning? Where did it all begin for you?
Well, it's actually quite easy, this, because I literally did a year as student union president at university, which I think isn't really a real job, is it? It was almost a desperate plea to stay at university and not go into the real world for another year. I did pick up some valuable skills, mind. But after that, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I did a career in sports science, and I realised quite quickly, a degree. I realised I don't think I'm passionate enough about, I just love sport. So it's not enough to keep you going. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I fell, as most, if not all people do, I kind of fell into recruitment 17 years ago, and stayed with the same company for that 17 years. It was incredible. It really was. And I have a lot to thank them for, because I learned a lot. I guess working there set me up for my grown-up life, as it were. Homes, babies, husband. Some of my greatest friends all come from working there, and I learned a lot. Yeah, so I did that for 17 years in engineering recruitment. It's an eye opener as well. I've done everything from contract recruitment, permanent recruitment, solutions, contingency. Made up my own bespoke solutions for companies. The lot. I worked my way up the career ladder and led a number of different teams, and it was all great. It really was. I knew I was never going to be there forever. I had this constant feeling of, actually, if I don't get out and see how things are done elsewhere, do something different, I felt like my worth or my value in the wider market would start. There was a point where I thought, I'm a catch right now. And then it started to go backwards, probably not just to do with time served, maybe a few other things, which we'll come on to. But I started to think, actually, well, what does that exit look like? I don't really know. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't not like recruitment. But I had 2 maternity leaves, which... looking back, actually, I have a lot to be great. I mean, you do have a lot to be grateful for. It's great, but it's also not easy. And I know a lot of women struggle in different ways, whether that be negotiating or getting a decent maternity leave, or whether it's the coming back, whatever it may be. And I did encounter some of that myself, but it gave me a break away to, I guess, stop, get off the hamster wheel, and just think about what I really liked and didn't like. But it's been a bit of a long journey. It definitely wasn't a one day that's it, I'm going to make a change. Sort of a combination, I think, of maturity, having those breaks. Some of it I've experienced my own discrimination at work through maternity leave and things like that, which is probably what I think is definitely part of what's contributed to what I'm doing now, because I feel really strongly about it and I know what that can feel like and look like for people. But I also was very lucky in terms of making that move, that I had some, I guess we call them cheerleaders. I was very lucky, some good friends around me, lots of friends who are fantastic at what they do in their different fields, who are great counsel. My husband, he was amazing, booked me onto a fantastic career coaching program with the wonderful Scoach. The founder of STEM Returners, I've worked with her, Natalie Desty, for those 17 years. We both started out together, and she has always been my cheerleader. She's always pushed me, and where I've not believed I could do more, she's pushed me to go for things I didn't think I could do. And you, Sally, you've been one of those as well, where you and I have talked at length, probably too long at times, about our passions, what we want to do, what that might look like, and things like that. So, yeah, I think going from that established career and making the move, it's been quite a gradual process with lots of different factors.
Yeah. And I think it's really interesting for you to kind of unpack that for us, because I think, just talking about having babies and what impact that can actually have on a female's career. I mean, I could sit and talk to you about this for absolutely hours, and there's going to be a lot of work that I'm going to be doing in the new year as part of kind of my plan to really kind of raise the platform for women in the workplace. But I experienced, I think I've had one baby since we've known each other, but I've experienced maternity leave 3 times myself. And I think within recruitment, you put a certain amount of pressure on yourself, going from a billing role to take any time out of the business, even if you're out of the business for 3 weeks having an operation, to get back into it. I think I really underestimated how hard I would find it the last time I went off. And my last maternity leave was 16 weeks door to door. I'm one of these annoying women who go off and have their babies that weekend. It's happened to me twice. I'm like, yeah, I love
one.
Couple of weeks off. Yeah, before I have the baby. Yeah, finish on the Friday, have the baby on the Sunday, or the Monday morning at like 6 a.m. But I found it very difficult, number one, to walk away and to actually acknowledge the fact that I was pregnant and I was going off for maternity leave, and then a lot harder to adjust back into being this billing machine, if you like, from being, getting back up and running, and really having the impact that you had before you went on maternity leave, whilst then trying to navigate your home life completely being turned upside down. And I think I didn't really want to admit that I was struggling. I just think, come on, keep your head down. You can do it. You've done this before. For me, this is like time number 3. You've done this before, but it's really exhausting, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. My first maternity leave, I took 5 months, which I thought was a really long time to be away from. My mindset was, this is such a long time to be away from my work, my career, and I felt I needed to get back to it. But then I also felt guilty putting my son into nursery before he could even sit up. It was like, oh my goodness me. And my grand plans gradually of, okay, well, he'll go in nursery. My partner will do the pickups and things, and I'll come home, do bath and bed. But I found myself, I tried to condense my week into a full time into 4 days, but I was barely seeing him in the mornings and the evenings. That's not working. So we'll stretch it out. I had to reduce my hours somehow, only by a small amount to make it work. But that's when that was it. And during that time, I came back and I got promoted to department manager, which was fantastic. But then to try and make the hours and the role work, I wasn't allowed to reduce my hours in any way and keep that role. I had to step back and reduce my hours or full time. And at the time, I felt, well, no, I've worked really hard for this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be able to juggle the two. It's very different the second time round. I've said, no, I'm going to take the full 12 months. And I don't know, I think times are changing. And I felt that actually, because I can't imagine what it was like for you, Sally, with the first two. If I look back, some of the returners we work with, and I'll come on to STEM returners, but they took maternity leave 15 or 10, 20, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And they really were left with very little option but to leave to look after their children. Yeah. We've come such a long way now, but there's so much work to be done. Again, I was faced with, when I came back after the 12 months, it was, what do you want to do? Well, I want to come back into my role and I'd like to do it over 4 days. And it's never 4 days in recruitment. You are always doing work outside of work. So it's never 4 days. But it was, well, you either come back full time in your leadership role or you come back with reduced hours in just a pure billing role. And that was a real deflator for me. Yeah. Dog. Yeah, that was a real sort of, I really thought we were a bit more ahead than where we are. And actually, and again, well, you know, as I do, there aren't many female leaders in the business. I was really torn because I thought it's not great for other females coming through the business and what are they going to do. There's very few role models, but at this time I was like, I did the career first before, and this time I'm going to put family first. And it drove me to say, right, what is there out there? There must be a better way of doing this.
Yeah. And there is. And there absolutely is. And I think when, you know, you have those thoughts and then we're thrown into a worldwide pandemic, I think it's really accelerated the thoughts of so many others. And I'm talking about those who probably weren't impacted by, females going off on maternity leave. And I don't want to generalize at all, because I know that there are so many amazing men out there. And every time I put a feminist post out, I do get a message from a man saying, I feel the same. And I'm like, that's great. We'll shout about it. You know, I think it's really important. And we're going to go into DE&I again in a minute. But I think what I've seen is it's really accelerated that family first or personal life or work-life balance, where we haven't been able to switch off between the two and everyone's been stuck at home. The people that I'm working with from a career coaching perspective really are reevaluating what it is that they want out of their life. Where do they want the balance? You know, doing the commute and the red eyes back from wherever, and and having that pressure on your family and on your personal life. People are really making changes, which I think is just such a positive thing. And I think as well, a lot of organizations are doing a lot more to make people at the center of what they do, because I think a lot of them have realized, and maybe some of them having a very knee-jerk reaction throughout the pandemic to make a lot of redundancies, that people, unless you've got the right people and the people are engaged, you haven't got a business. You haven't got a culture. You haven't got a business. People aren't going to be, invigorated and motivated to hit deadlines and do all the rest of it. And people really need to be put first.
Also, you're far less likely to have customers and investors as we move forward as well. More and more customers are looking at not just what they're buying, but where their money's going. And there's a real emphasis on a diverse supply chain. It's big in procurement at the moment, and it's just growing. And investors as well. That it's complete business sense to have a real diverse workforce. There's a study, a 7-year study done by McKinsey Group. They're a leading global strategist. They consult with governments and major corporations all over the world. They did this 7-year study, and their findings were that a gender diverse organisation, and this is through every tier of the business, outperformed their competitors by 15%, and an ethnically diverse organisation, again through all tiers, outperformed their peers by 35%. It's not just something that we should be doing it, it's the right thing to do. It also makes business sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk to me about, I mean, we'll talk about the pivot, but talk to me about your DE&I passion, because I mean, we sat together. It was the first day back, wasn't it, after the pandemic? There was no one in the office. We were sat out having a chat, and you were like, I'm thinking about this. And I'm like, I'm thinking about this. And this was the first person I ever told about Scotch. And you were like, I just want to make a difference, Sal. I'm just, don't make me upset. I'm just emotional. Just seeing someone like you who is so passionate, and you are such an inspiration to me. Like, I want to do something that really makes a difference in this world. To tell me how you got from that first conversation to eventually, navigate through. Yeah, go on.
I remember that conversation because it's such a pivotal conversation for me too. And I think I remember just going, Blur, I just wanted to do something to help with, there's so many problems. Pick one problem, because I keep on barking on about the environment as well. And it's like, right, just pick one that you can make a difference with. So it took me a little while to get to that. I do my bit for the environment in everywhere I can, but I'm no Greta Thunberg. She's incredible, and I feel safe that she's driving that one, and me and a few more who are way better and more experienced than me are driving this one. But you helped me with this, Sally. You really did, because I had to almost work backwards and tap into what's me, my values, and what's important to me. Because again, I was sat there thinking, recruitment, sales, what do I do? How do I go? D&I, I've always, fairness and kindness and just treating people decently, equally, has always been really important to me. It physically sits uncomfortably if I see anything like that. And actually, through sales and recruitment, it's a bit ruthless, a bit competitive. So you do end up sort of, I guess, I don't really know what the phrase is, but maybe not being true to my values. So you helped me unpack that. I think I work people. People tend to be, with everything I do, I'm always involved with people. Mm-hmm. I want to be of service. I want to help. I want to solve problems. And fairness is really, really important. So ED&I was just I kept being drawn to it. All my podcasts, everything I was liking and looking on my feeds. It's quite a good way to see what are you drawn to, actually. Mm. But I thought as a role, it's as I looked around, it was very much, it's something that was tapped onto the end of HR in most organisations. And there's still not enough organisations who are addressing it. Shockingly, 1 in 10 engineering companies are doing anything about diversity and inclusion in their organisations at the moment. I have a feeling that's going to rapidly increase if we've got anything to do with it. So I thought, and I spoke with friends in HR and thought, okay, I think I'm going to have to make the move, but it's going to be a real slog. Start at the bottom in HR, work my way up, and hope and try and carve out an ED role for myself within an organisation. But then I think I've lost your question, but I'll come back.
No, you haven't. No, you haven't at all. You're on it. No, you're still on.
when Natalie Desty, the founder of STEM Returners, obviously very dear friend of mine, and I've been following what she's been doing, and we'd never really talked about working together before, and it was bizarre. You helped me with aligning my values and what I wanted to achieve, which I'll say it now, so I haven't forgotten it. It's eventually to get a seat at the table to influence and change policy, whether that be in organisations or larger, to ensure absolute pure inclusivity within what we do. That's my mission statement.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
So Natalie, I must have been giving off some I'm ready for this vibes or something. So I won't call it luck, because my career coach would say it's not luck. It's not luck.
It's talent.
She came to me and said, will you help me grow and shape STEM Returners? And I was just like, this is it. Oh my goodness, yes, absolutely, no question. And that's the first time in 17 years I'd ever felt like, yeah, it's a no-brainer. It's absolutely brilliant. So from there, Natalie's been amazing. She's really invested in me. I've done my level 6. I say done, if there's any of my cohort watching me, I haven't done all my assignments yet, but close to completing my level 6 in inclusion and diversity and managing culture within organisations. That's with Inclusive Employers and the Chartered Management Institute. It's degree level in ED&I. And I've learned so much, and I am still learning all the time. The difference about the space I'm working in now compared to recruitment, that is so competitive, and this is so collaborative. I have people trying to make a difference like we are, reaching out every week, and I'm having conversations with them. I'm learning stuff, maybe hopefully they're learning things, and I'm just building up a catalogue of I could give you plenty of people you can put on here, Sally, and talk about what their organisations do as well. It's invigorating, it's energizing. I love it. That wasn't even the question you asked me, was it?
No, but I just love how the transformation in you, for you genuinely tapping in, and this is why I absolutely think it's going to be, a really inspirational story for somebody to hear. If one other person gets inspiration from Eunice, who's been somewhere for 17 years, felt like it was time to move, didn't know what you wanted to do, tapped into what was really, really important to you, and you've now carved yourself a career where you're doing what you wanted, the impact that you're having on other people across that whole diversity, inclusion and equity piece is just incredible. And the fact that you talk so passionately about it and you love what you do is just incredible. It really is. It really is so inspiring. So tell us what STEM Returners actually does, because I think, we need to really kind of pin down what you do and the help that you offer people.
Absolutely. So STEM Returners, it's a multi-award winning program. It's a solution to an industry problem, basically. STEM, which is science, technology, engineering and maths, that sector is suffering from a major skills gap at the moment. Billions are being lost through not filling that skills gap, but also a shocking lack of diversity. Within engineering, I don't know if I said this earlier, actually, sorry if I'm repeating myself. Within engineering, the engineering workforce is made up of 8%, only 8% women, and only 6% are from Black, Asian and minority ethnic backgrounds. So there's a huge lack of diversity. Whereas STEM Returners, what STEM Returners have done is they've developed a programme that enables people who've taken a career break, because actually I just point out 99.9% of people who've taken a career break have not done it out of choice. They've worked hard, built their career up, and for so many different reasons, out of their control, most of the time out of their control, they've had to give up on work. So we've built a programme that supports them and gives them an opportunity to get back into work with the skills and the qualifications that they acquired. We give them, it's a CV worthy assignment, which closes that dreaded CV gap that people worry about. It's professional pay, and there is support with the thanks of Scoach as well, because we've developed a fantastic program to support returners right from that first engagement piece, from admission to CVs and interview prep, but right the way through. Thanks to you, Sally, as well for this, a brilliant 12-month program supporting them all the way through that return to work. It starts off with one-to-one coaching, which you can address anything because you have superpowers. Anything they want to address, that's there. But then there's the group session, so that gives them that community. They're not the only ones going through this, and they're great opportunities to feed back on different experiences in different companies. Also, vital things for them as they go through. There's the overcoming, the settling in, but then there's the how do you thrive? How do you drive yourself forward? It's not just be thankful that you're back in a job. Actually, you want your career back. Let's propel you. So time management, raising your profile, networking, those sessions and those tools are there for them throughout that first 12 months. It also helps the organisation as well, because the onus isn't on them to do all of this. We're not just handing them over candidates and going, there you go.
Yeah.
Hope it works out. We're really committed to making it work.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, we also, in partnership with Women Engineering Society, their candidates have access to mentors through the Mentor Set programme as well. On the client side of things, with the organisations that we do this for, we're enabling them to tap into an untapped, talent pool that is an untapped talent pool that just isn't being engaged with or considered by traditional recruiters. And we also offer them coaching and support from the hiring manager's side as well, as to how do they engage with these candidates? How do they see the potential and the skills that these candidates bring? Because although they've had a career break and they've not been in a traditional setting, the amount of skill, you just ask anyone who's had to care for children or care for somebody who's been unwell or anything, the amount of other skills they have picked up, great in a crisis, resourceful. These things are so important to a business and overlooked. So we help organisations and give them the platform to bring those returners in. And the feedback's been incredible.
Yeah. And working with you guys has just been, incredible. It really has, to see the work that you've done. It's not all women, but I would say probably the majority of women who have had time out, coders, people who are working within big energy businesses who, have taken some time out to care for elderly relatives, who are now back in the workplace and thriving, and the confidence that they're gaining, the friendships that they're making at work, the impact that they've had. And to go back to a point that you just made, it is such an untapped market, right? If organizations just made the change to look for part-time workers as well as full-time workers, and I know that your guys are full-time, the market that they would untap by just opening up that
opportunities as well now, because we're talking to companies about how do you open up a whole other area of the market that has the skills you need, but you can't currently access them. It's taking down barriers. That is true inclusivity, is removing all barriers.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is, it is absolutely paving the way for other organizations. If there is a skills gap within your organization within STEM, or you aren't looking at diversity and inclusion as a strategy at the moment, then there are two things that you can implement so easily to make an impact. And it's easy. The work's been done, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
it's just tapping
absolutely.
into it.
Absolutely. It's something that all, certainly talent acquisition teams or organizations in their strategy, I really think this should be part of their armory for
Mm.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, what we're seeing a lot of, especially the larger organizations now, and, those who are investing in talent acquisition teams, those who are investing in kind of true partnerships with recruitment partners, whoever those recruitment partners are, it's so less reactive now, isn't it? And it's so more proactive. We know that this is what our growth trajectory is going to be over the next 24 months. We've already identified what the skill shortage is now. That's going to be even more exaggerated and amplified in 24 months' time. So what can we be doing to either develop the talent internally, tap into pools that other people aren't tapping into, but actually really, succession plan and talent pool map what we're going to need in 24 months' time. And I think
Absolutely.
companies who aren't doing that are absolutely missing a trick.
Oh, I've done a number of sort of bespoke consultancy pieces for organizations who are sort of at their wits' end. We've tried this, we've tried that, we've been looking for so long. Very pleased to say so far they've all worked and we've delivered. But it is that, oh my goodness me, we've tried everything, it's not working. What else can we do? There is a lot that can be done. But like you say, the work's been done. Come and speak to me.
Exactly, the work's been done. The research is absolutely been done. And also, I've been doing a lot on kind of, the gender pay gap, the authority gap within the marketplace. And this, in society, these issues are embedded in us. We talk about unconscious bias, they're absolutely embedded. There's a reason why there aren't enough girls within STEM. It's because we're not encouraged to do so at school. I know that you're getting involved with an amazing project for school-based kids, aren't you?
Absolutely. This is part of the consultancy work that we do. I'm doing some research at the moment for an organisation in partnership with the Royal Navy, and this is to help drive STEM take up from grassroots. So we're looking at the impact a potential competition will have, and that impact on diverse take up from school age and upwards. So it's all so interlinked. It really, really is. And it is another way that, and it's another way we can impact that. I mean, those stats are shocking, and we've got so much. The worrying thing for me was 17 years in engineering, and those stats haven't changed.
Yeah,
I can't believe that they just haven't moved. So absolutely, it needs to be tackled at all angles. But everybody can do their little bit. You talk about unconscious bias. Just by stopping and rationalizing your assumptions, I think it comes from time. Everyone's so time poor, or this perceived, I haven't got time, I have to do everything as quickly as possible. So we pigeonhole everything. Our brains process it's something stupid like 11 million pieces of information every second, but we can only consciously process about 50 of those. And that's where our brain, you're not a bad person for having this bias. Your brain will pigeonhole everything it sees, but it's stopping and stopping that assumption and saying, okay, well, what do I really know about this person? Stop and find out a bit more.
Absolutely. It's really interesting you mentioned that, because I learned all this on my NLP training recently, and you're absolutely right. In terms of the bits of information that we are processing, we either delete, distort, or generalize, and that's what happens with unconscious bias, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You see something and you make an assumption on it, but you're absolutely right in taking time to stop and think. And really process what what assumption you're making, I think can make a huge difference. And just talk to me about the impact, the positive impact of having a diverse workforce has on organisations, because if they're not doing it to tick a box, which we know a lot of companies will do, what actual impact does it have on organisations to embrace diversity and inclusion?
Well, yeah, you've got two different ways. There's the happy workforce part of it, but there's the the competitive edge and the innovation as well. I mean, if you have a diverse workforce, a truly diverse workforce gives you a variety of different perspectives, and that's where real creativity comes from. If you have the same faces, the same ages, the same backgrounds, the same genders, the same sexualities, just all sat round a table thinking of what to do. They're all looking at it from the same perspective. There's I'm part of Women in Transport, and I remember someone talking about town planning being one where they needed to address diversity quite early on, because if you were in a wheelchair, or if you were pushing a child in a pram, it was a nightmare. I mean, that's where the drop curb comes from. That's from somebody with a different perspective putting their ideas forward, and we don't even think anything about them now. But that was a real game changer in town planning back then. I mean, we're, especially in the UK, we're meant to be global leaders in innovation. But with stats like that, how can we be? We surely must be losing our edge. So that creativity and that innovative thinking is key to organisations, but it also leads to better staff engagement, higher employee engagement, reduced employee turnover. If you are really working to make everyone in your company feel valued and feel part of the business, then you are, I think how much it costs to recruit people and the amount of money that is lost through poor recruitment. You save so much money, which you can then plug into whatever else you need. But it's you have a better reputation as well. I did a post a little while ago actually about millennials. By 2025, the millennials will make up 75% of the workforce, and their values are very different to the generation before. I don't know which one I'm in. I saw something where I was like, oh, I might be a millennial. I don't think. I think I'm just a bit too old.
I think we're on the cusp. I think we're on the cusp.
Thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
But the values of that generation and how they're going to be viewing where they go and work, or the roles they're going to be taking in those workplaces, and what they're going to want to roll out, what they're going to want to drive, are very different from organisations. And we've got to get on board with that. That's the change that is there. So there's huge change. There's huge benefits. But I just, without meaning to be negative, on the other side of this, there's some shocking stats that I'm about to read you on what is going on out there at the moment. And this could be people next to you. So if it's very easy. And I know where we live, it's not a particularly diverse part of the world, and it's a very affluent part of the world. But there's a lot of problems going on everywhere. So again, the assumption that it's a problem out there, absolutely not. This can be somebody sat next to you, but only 26% of disabled people are in employment, compared to 84% of able-bodied people.
Wow.
67% of Black people have reported bullying in the workplace. This next stat was pre-pandemic. 75% of the population reported feeling stressed. This was pre-pandemic. And in addition to that, 26 billion is lost through work-related stress. Wow. So that in itself, if you're losing ridiculous amounts of money, this one I really hate. Well, I don't like any of them, but this one, 310% increase in hate crimes reported on LGBTQ plus people. Wow. That's horrific. And women over 40 are still paid on average 16% less than their male counterparts. So there's a lot to do, and this impacts businesses. It absolutely impacts businesses. It permeates an organisation. again, it goes back, everyone has their part to play, but senior leadership, they really, I think in organizations, they really need to grab this and do something about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And there are so many things that you can do individually that make these compound, make compound interest, isn't it? And impact.
Absolutely.
My compound impact. Oh, brilliant. I also wanted to ask you, and before we wrap up, because I could talk to you about this all afternoon, how can people refer people to STEM returners to get them back into the workplace? Because I think, it is recruitment, we sit at the heart of it, don't we? We sit at the heart of a client relationship and also really helping those candidates. So what can people do to, help get their friends back into the workplace?
Lots of different things, I guess. What I will do, I don't know if people, maybe in the post, I'll put my contact details in afterwards. So anyone who's watching this can find me there. You can see, link in with me and follow STEM Returners. You can go to our website, stemreturners.com, find us there. But it's anyone who's struggling. It's, as we talk about returners because a lot of it is, but I've been helping graduates who have struggled to get their career started. They just haven't been able to get on the foot on the ladder. Neurodiverse graduates who haven't been able to perform in traditional interviews, graduates from overseas who have qualified, they've got their visa, they're ready to go, and they're just not getting past that first interview. Lots of different types of people. So anyone who's struggling, please do send them our way. I don't know how else to put it, really. I'd say that's probably just reach out to me, get in touch.
Reach out, join the movement. Absolutely.
And anyone who's watching this who is interested in ED&I or is doing their own thing in ED&I, do get in touch as well, because I love learning about all the different initiatives that are out there. And it's really encouraging that there's more and more, which is great.
And I need to pronounce it properly because I'm calling it DE&I. Where have I got that from? It's ED&I.
It's different. It's different for everybody. The E, some people use that as equality. Some people say equity. That's a whole other session. And so it's however you want to say it. Don't worry about not saying it right. That's part of this. It's still an uncomfortable topic, and people are like, am I saying the right thing? I don't know. You should never let that. We're not, as Brené Brown says, I love a bit of Brené Brown. We're not here to be right. We're here to get it right. And everyone should support, I think, everyone helping each other to get it right, rather than this cancel culture, shut you down. Actually, let's open up the conversation and talk to each other.
Yeah.
The more we know, the less barriers there are in the way.
Yeah. Oh, well, on that note, I don't know what else to say other than a huge, huge thank you. We will do this again. We will definitely do this again. No doubt. We're seeing each other this weekend.
So much more to talk about.
But yeah, I mean, genuinely, this is the beginning. This is the beginning for you. How far you've come in such a short amount of time is just inspirational. So thank you for sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, your passion with us. And yeah, I'm excited to see what happens to you guys in 2022.
Thank you, Sally, for all your support and your wisdom and knowledge. I'm very lucky, and so is everyone else who's working with you.
Oh, bless you. Thank you so much. Right, see you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, bye.